Hi, Victor, are you there?
Yes, Carl, I'm here. Let me just switch on this camera. Let me see if it's okay.
Hey, good morning, brother. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Let me first fix. Seems
Yeah,
like
no
my
problem.
microphone is not connected.
Yeah, I
Let
think we're
me
still
see.
waiting for Miguel, so we
Sure,
we can start in maybe 2 minutes.
sure. Let me fix this microphone for now.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Carl?
Yeah, it's perfect. I can
Great.
hear you.
Yeah, great. Now it seems to be much better now.
No, awesome. Yeah, I think we're about 3 minutes in, so I'll just give it 2 more minutes and then we can start.
Great, sure.
Okay, I think Miguel will jump in when he's sorted out. So yeah, we are
Yeah,
live. Victor, thank you for
definitely.
joining, man. I think let me at least
Yeah.
greet everyone else that is joining in on the call. We appreciate everyone taking the time to sit in on this discussion today. I think it's an exciting topic. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to having the discussion. So yeah, hopefully it's an engaging session and an insightful session for everyone that made the time to join us today.
Definitely.
We will be exploring uh, 3 or 4 major topics surrounding global uncertainty and different markets, the different opportunities that come through those uncertainties, and then also how businesses can sort of build resilience or prepare themselves for these volatile times that we find ourselves in rather. So yeah, I think before we start, just allow me to introduce our guest, Victor, who is a good friend of mine, and it's my pleasure to
Mm.
introduce him. So Victor, my understanding is that you're operating in the telecoms industry and you're a business development manager for Peachtree Networks, handling sort of global accounts, as I can understand. So you
Yeah,
can say anything else about it, but to my understanding, I think we can have some good discussions regarding that industry.
yeah, definitely, Carl. Thank you very much for the invitation. And yeah, we definitely look forward to this discussion. You As you mentioned, I'm a business development manager at Peachtree in sector of telecommunication, and yeah, we look forward to touch on very great point based on our topics that
Yes.
you just shared, and yeah, that's it. I hope
So
everyone stay
Victor,
tuned. Mhm.
yeah, I just wanted to ask you, man, where are you based at the moment? Because it's been a while since we've actually caught up. So I'm still in Cape Town at the moment. So I just wanted to check
Yeah,
where in the world you are.
Yes, I'm still in Cape Town too, although I'm
Okay,
like
nice. We should
traveling
meet
all
up.
over. Definitely, Carl.
Yeah,
Let me see. It's been like
yeah.
more than 5 years that we haven't met each other, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So I
It's
think
been a
we should
long,
meet
long
up
time.
for it to do this in person next time. We don't have to do it
Definitely,
over online. We can sort of meet up at a
definitely,
coffee shop or
definitely.
whatever. Cool.
Great one,
No,
great
that's
one.
good to hear, man. I think without any further ado, we can jump in to the discussion.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think the first point, let me actually move the slides along as well. So yeah, as I mentioned, the first point we're going to be speaking about is global uncertainty,
Yes.
and the impact that it's having, on small companies, on larger enterprises. So I think from my perspective, I think the whole
Yeah.
world is aware of what's sort of going on right now. Not only locally, but also internationally. I
Yes.
think there's a lot of events happening. We've got wars that are ongoing. We've got a lot of things sort of affecting the economy, and I think a lot of people are just finding themselves in a place where they are struggling to navigate and sort of forecast as easily as they could before, because conditions are so uncertain. You don't know if the oil price is going to be triple what it is tomorrow. So yeah, I think we're going to be exploring, how I think people can understand the uncertainty better and how it impacts their specific industries. So yeah, Victor, I'm going to bring you in here if you have anything on that.
Yeah, that's a very open starting, if I may say, because we might think there is a war in Middle East, or there is a war far away, let's say from us, South Africa, but however it affect how business being run in terms of supply chain and the other sectors as well. So I think the uncertainty in political if I may say, in political environment, not only, but
Yes.
it has some relevant aspect in business, how to business operate on, also how the supply chain, moving of goods. It's been part
Yes.
of this war affecting those operation on how it goes.
Right. I think that's why a lot of people, they sort of immediately think, oh, my business doesn't require, my product doesn't maybe require gasoline or petrol to produce, so I'm fine, I'm safe. Yeah, I think they don't usually realize that the service providers they end up having to use will have to
Definitely.
increase their prices. Like you just mentioned, if you're working with any logistics companies, or any sort of courier companies that are moving your goods, although your product itself might be safe from the market conditions, we understand that it's maybe not as safe as some people think it is, because you have these external factors that still
Definitely.
play a role in your company's supply chain. So yeah, I think one good thing that people need to understand is that uh, logistics and supply chain is a part of almost every company. You just have
Yeah.
maybe the exception of your companies who operate purely digital, but most companies who have operations on the ground, they have logistics requirements, and those logistics requirements will be impacted by global factors. Whether
Yeah.
it's the fuel, whether it's the tariffs, whether it's the customs laws and regulations of the country. So yeah,
Yes.
people need to be aware of that, and they need to understand that.
It definitely, and one aspect that you mentioned, based on few tariffs, it's let's say goods needs to be moved from one place to another, and with this war that is happening, shipping vessels are being using different route, so which that cause more fuel to spend for those movement terrific.
Right.
Let's say now it used to be Swazi Canal, like the one from Egypt. If goods want to move, let's say from the north to west, I mean, from the north to south, and it becomes very, very
Yes.
difficult with the
Yes.
war. So it needs an alternative road for goods to come, let's say to Cape Town, so that
Right.
it takes more time if you take different road because of the war. It takes more time,
Yes.
spend more fuel. So these are the factors that can matter in terms of delivering the goods, and which
Yes.
creates more cost by moving those goods. And obviously,
Right.
one of the
Right.
factors that I found also very interesting, those goods that are being moved, obviously they need insurance, right? With the
Yeah.
war, with the war risk, insurance premium for those ships have like surged. So business
Really, I
kind
didn't
of like,
actually know that. Yeah.
yeah, business are paying a hidden premium on every important
Mm.
items, so from electronics to raw materials, you see. So it's a lot of factors that involve in this war, which are causing business, let's say, to file or business to pay extra cost monies for those service like insurance and stuff like this.
Yes.
Another also is like business must stop viewing logistic as a fixed cost. It's now a variable risk. If you don't diversify your logistic partners, or hold, let's say, slight higher buffet stock for,
Yes.
let's say, critical items, you are one of the geopolitical flare up ways, from inventory crisis. So, which if you
Yes.
depend on one supplier, it makes it very difficult for you to have those services, especially in the war times that we are
Yes.
facing in terms of geopolitical scene. Yeah, so I think it has a lot of factors that plays a role in this
100%.
segment that affect
Yeah.
business.
No.
Yeah.
100%. I think we'll touch a bit on that later, but I mean, just on what you said now, companies should always, have backup suppliers, have a flexible supplier database, have a flexible supply chain. So you're not,
Yeah.
stuck, and also don't view your logistics as a fixed cost. So I've made a note of that. I'm going to steal that line if I'm having a meeting with someone the next time. I'll tell them, don't view logistics as a fixed cost.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah, I
definitely.
think look, just to get some insight from your side, I think I've never watched as much news before in my whole life, but as I am currently at this moment. But
Yeah.
what do you see in the future? In the near future, do you see things going back to normal, or do you see things sort of never going back to normal, and we have to sort of create a new normal
Mm,
that we live with?
mm. Well, I believe the circumstances that comes, it will make a new normal. It never gonna be back as it was before. Just one of the example was the COVID. When it hits, things had to change, right? Now we have
Exactly.
a lot of remote job, if I may say, right? So with war happening and how things are being structured, the way business are operating, the way business goods are being moved, we won't be able to go back as we used to. So a new era needs to come, a new adapt needs to be. So in order for
Yes.
business to deliver what the service requires, so in my
Yeah.
understanding, I don't believe we will be the same as used to be, but I understand we
Yeah.
will have to adapt as the new circumstances shows or appear to us, and that's mainly like create a resilience business instead of just depending on traditional ways of doing things. So especially for
Yes.
supply chain needs to be resilience for goods to move around, let's say the continent, if I may say. When I mean the continent, I mean Africa, definitely.
Yes.
Yes. So believe there is a
I
new
fully.
way. Mm. Yes, I believe there is a new way that we will be adapt. We will be inside of new ways of operating business, new ways of trading goods, new ways of uh, changing services as well. So yeah, that's the
Yeah.
insights that I could say. We will be
No, it
able to
sounds like
adapt to the era.
yeah, it sounds like we're on the same page, to be honest. I have the same outlook.
Mm.
I think, people need to, especially companies, people who are running their own companies, they need to sort of
Yeah.
understand and stop hoping for things to go back to normal and start
Mm.
adapting yourself going forward.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we've sort of spoken a lot about the negative side, I think, of the current state of the global economy.
Situations.
I think
Mm.
maybe we can speak a bit more on the positive side. So, the next topic is surrounding what are the emerging markets or what opportunities are we seeing, for people to actually capitalize on, for companies to actually capitalize on, to actually, instead of being impacted negatively from what's happening, maybe take advantage and use it as a benefit for their companies. So I think I'll start just from my perspective on this topic. I think,
Sure.
the world is moving in a digital direction, and
Definitely.
it's at a point now where it's not an option anymore for a lot of people, where before it was an option, now it's becoming more of a requirement. So, companies are, and that is, partly what we are doing at ProcureChain. Companies are trying to take departments and digitize those departments, so that they can be more flexible, adaptable, more efficient, um, more lean, let's put it that way. And I think that's a
Definitely.
good opportunity, especially for small companies, for small enterprises to realize that if we can provide services or products to clients that helps them digitize their operations, um, which in turn makes their organization more flexible and more lean, that is
Efficient
that
as
is a
well.
good, yeah, that's a good industry. That is a good opportunity, in my opinion, right now, is to, because companies are very fearful right now about the economy, and they're trying to reduce cost. They're trying to find every kind of way to save money right now, because, for instance, your cost of production or your cost of goods has now gone up. So you need to look at other places where you can reduce costs to sort of balance it out, so that your company is still profitable at the end of the day. So companies, clients, I think a lot of companies are going to start putting more emphasis on optimizing their operations and sort of making their operations more efficient and more lean, so that they can survive these sort of volatile markets and volatile periods. So yeah, I think that's a definite opportunity from my side, Victor. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this one. I think digitalizing some service or some department, it's all part of the new way of business operating, of doing business, of making sure that service goods are being delivered in a very efficient way. And yeah, you mentioned one thing. You mentioned it's about procure chain, which I believe it's part of this ecosystem of making digitalizations being part of the business, right? Imagine what if my primary supplier in country, let's say country X or country Y, or let's say in Colombia or somewhere else,
Yes.
gets locked down due to political unrest. So next week, let's say next week, AI now
Yes.
models um, predicted this before it happens, allowing you to kind of like trigger and backup supplier instantly. So this is
Mm,
the beautiful things
exactly.
of having procure chain involving in this ecosystem, because once you identify that supplier X or supplier Y, it's going to shut down, is going to close. The platforms, the digitalizations, the tools that are available now, it can automatically give you suggestions, can automatically give you another suppliers, can give you
Yes,
points where
exactly.
you can have your goods, or you can have your service, or you can have the shippings being delivered to you or to your clients, if I may say. So
Yes,
it's a very advanced era that we live in, and I believe we have to take advantage of it. So and the other thing, it's also most business only know their immediate supplier. They know this is my supplier. They know this is the one that I trust. But what about if something happens?
yes,
So we need to
exactly.
be resilience in 2026 and forward, to require knowing who your supplier supplies. And
Yes,
also disruptions, it hits upstream raw materials. You need to know immediately, not when your production line stops. Like if your production line stops, it's a cost for you. So in order
yes,
for your production lines to keep happen, you need to kind of like having one step ahead on how to what to if supplier X gets shut down, if the raw materials are not coming to me from that supplier, where do I get
yes,
an
exactly.
alternative, so that my operation doesn't stop, so that I keep delivering the same service, the same product to my clients. So this is a very interesting moment where digitalizations, or digital department, or making
Yes,
a tools like procure chain, it plays a crucial role in order for us to grow as well. So I'm 100% agree that the new era of living with tools like procure chain and many others, especially also
yes,
in agriculture, you will find a lot of
yes,
agri-tech. So
yes,
this is part of, and I'm actually working on one project. Me and my team, we sort of like trying to build an ecosystem where players from buyers to vendors as well to
yes,
transport are being inside of one ecosystem. Let's say a guy in a farm guy, it's selling bunch of tomatoes,
yes,
or some other veg, and they need, in nowadays, they need to put those goods and then go to the market and sell it. But what we focus on is to create a sort of like platform, a digital platform, where you find all these players inside. You find the guy that is selling, you find the guy who wants to buy, you find the guy who wants to take the product from here from point A to
right.
point B. So project is basically focused on that. And the beautiful things is, later stage, we're going to make it to impact the countries around, like South Africa, Angola, Namibia, and so that
Yes,
we can actually flow without problem with this platform. So I think digital era, it's one thing that we should take advantage, and it's part of the new ways of not just operating, but of doing business. Yeah, I think that's the insight that I could
100%.
share for now on this.
That's amazing. Yeah, maybe without sharing too much, we're excited to hear more about that project. We'll
Mm,
hear more about it soon, I'm
definitely.
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, thanks. I think that was good, Victor. I think with the next topic, this one is quite,
Mm.
I don't want to say personal, but I myself have been leading one of the projects here, and doing a lot of collaboration in terms of our with the
Mm.
Angolan consulate here in Cape Town,
Yes.
and the
That's
project.
interesting, eh?
Yeah, it's still in the works. We're still working on,
Mm.
getting everything signed off. But what I can say is the deal or the project is, sort of looking at the mining sector, but then also a lot of the different bilateral sectors that our two
Mhm.
countries share with each other. Like you mentioned, your agriculture, your manufacturing sector, um,
mm,
and obviously your logistics sector as well. So, and the mining sector being a huge shared industry between South Africa and Angola, we, I would say, didn't know really that there was so much opportunity for collaboration between the two countries. And I think that's something that African countries need to start realizing, is that, we don't need to rely so much on the international community anymore. We've got resources and expertise within our own continent, within our own countries, and we should start sharing our resources between our countries, to make our continent more stable, and we should stop maybe trying to think of just how to improve our own countries, but rather how can I build something that can scale throughout Africa, that can enforce collaboration between different countries. And I think that's what will strengthen Africa's sort of standing in the global community, if I can put it that way. Like you mentioned, things will never go back to being normal, and normal was always that
mm,
Africa was sort of always behind, always lacking
yeah,
behind everyone.
mm,
And I think now we've got an opportunity to change that. We've got a lot of
yeah,
young people. I mean, we've studied with a lot of people as well, young, smart people who,
mm,
understand these emerging markets much better. And, I've seen so many different startups in Africa, South
mm,
Africa, Kenya, Angola, Nigeria, even Mozambique, of young people creating AI startups, creating tech startups, like, agri-tech, ed-tech, fintech. There's so many emerging markets. And I think,
yeah.
um, like you mentioned, people need to start realizing that and capitalizing on that.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I think, yeah. So maybe you can just maybe speak a bit on maybe you can give us some insight into what other
mm.
collaborations can happen between African countries.
Yeah, Carl, it's a very interesting, let me say, topic or very interesting subject, because we have a lot on that. Let me just ask something. Why do South Africa and Angola, like the two of Africa's most resources richest economies, still trading less with each other than they do with the countries out of South Africa or out of Africa? I mean, you see, it makes really no sense, really, like we should
Mhm.
be the one trading more inside, like between us. The opportunities is massive, but the execution still catching up, So I
Mhm.
think it's a very great opportunity, especially in the era that we are, so that we can have this collaboration more intensive. Like right now, we must trade finished goods or raw material, but the
Mhm.
real opportunity is to build value chain together, because it's the countries are close, and the country has, like, let's say Angola has fertilizer land plus
Yes.
water and plus climate. South Africa has advanced uh, agro processing, and retail system. So Angola produce, let's say, fruits, beef, and shipping raw products to South Africa, and South Africa processes this and then package the food and
Yes.
the product. So it could be a very great collaboration between them, between the
Yes.
two countries. So instead of exploring raw value, we multiply value together just by product
Yes.
being sold across Africa. Like, let's say Angola has the products as fruits, beef, other products, and ship it to produce to South Africa, and then South Africa process those products, package them, and then ship to the continent. So both country
Right.
could play a very a system, building a value chain together in order not
Yes.
just to exchange raw material, not just to exchange finished goods, but uh,
Yes.
but putting a process, putting systems, and take advantage of one another and to supply to the entire continent. It would benefit a
Exactly.
lot to both countries. So I think what you mentioned, based on like the oil, the energy, the mining industry, it's also part of this ecosystem.
Yes.
It makes, like, let's say the small business or the big business need to be part of this. Needs to be part of this. Transactions of raw material,
Mm.
of goods, of services, exchanging experience, both countries in terms of business, in order for them to find a solution to be given to the entire continent. So I think
Right.
I'm 100% on that with you, especially Angola. It's a major oil producer. South Africa
Yes.
has crisis in energy, but it's strong in engineering and plus financing. So both could exchange this type of services. Both
Exactly.
could change this type of experience. One making to, let's say, South Africa, giving those service to Angola, because Angola might miss those infrastructure in terms of financing, in terms of engineering, and Angolan giving those service of oil productions, because and energy, because South Africa is lacking on this place. So it's a very, very opportunity for both countries, and it could play a massive, significant, in terms of the continent, in terms of the countries being close together. Yeah, I think it has a lot to be explored on that.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, man. I think one thing I've realized as well, um, is unfortunately, government policy plays a role as well, when it comes
That's
to
100%
these
true.
kind of collaborations. And I think people need to, this is something I've come to realize recently, is that, people need to familiarize themselves firstly with their country's policies, their country's foreign policy, but also the foreign policy of their surrounding neighbors, maybe. Because
Hmm.
we should be able to be in a position where we can challenge policy if it's not working. We
Yeah.
shouldn't just be living within the frameworks that have been set maybe 20, 30 years ago. Things have changed, and we're in a position now where we can get in contact with the right people and explain to them that, listen, there's an opportunity here, but
Hmm.
because of these policies and frameworks, it's preventing us from actually making this happen.
Mm.
There are people who have the influence and have the power to actually change those things and to actually open up new doors. And we need to start thinking out of the box when it comes to these things, because,
Mm.
like we've been saying, the world is changing. So it doesn't make sense that our policies remain the same.
Yeah, and look, in terms of politics and reality, let me just make like I feel like we have, on paper, Africa has amazing agreements, but in reality, business
Yeah.
still struggling. They still struggle, and those policies, it should be the ones changing all this. Struggle that business has in the continent. Like trading agreements say, like, low tariff. At the border, delays, inspections, bureaucracies. You see, it's something that we don't understand why is this way. You see, because in paper we're so good, but in action we're still lacking a lot. So, and solutions could be also digitalizing customers.
Exactly.
Making real enforcement, political, private. Accountability. We
Yes.
should be, in terms of police, breaking those gaps of policy. Uh,
Yes.
if if I believe if we wait only for the politics to do something, we won't be able to have that step ahead. You see,
Exactly.
I think business needs to move let's say needs to move in the departments to engage with Angola. Like, let's talk, let's see how
Yes.
we can create a policy, not putting away or aside the political parts like the government. Let's include the government
Yes.
inside of this than waiting for the government to do something. It's not going to happen now if we wait
Yeah.
for the government.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
small business should be part of this ecosystem. Small business in South Africa should engage with small business in Angola, and then
Exactly.
call the government of both sides to play a role for us to create sort of like a policy for both countries to do
Yes.
business
Yes.
easily.
Yes. Yes.
We shouldn't wait for the political aspect to say, okay, let's change now, let's see what business will we be doing. No, the
Yeah.
business should be the one initiating such a conversation, initiating such a steps, giving those steps, calling one another. Let's see what can we do for one another, and then
Yes.
let's call government to be playing the role of policy so that we can make things to happen than just having those agreement and in reality
Mm,
we're still struggling with it. So yeah,
yeah.
I think
No,
that's what could.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Victor. And I don't want to, I tried to promise myself I'm not going to try and sell. This is not a sales call, but I just want to say something that, just what you said on including small suppliers, that is a major aspect of our product and what we are offering is that, here in South Africa, the small companies, they make up multi-million rand industry. There are so
Mm,
many small companies here
indeed,
that
yeah,
I don't
indeed.
think we realize how much the industry actually relies on these small companies.
Mm,
And when we are doing sort of cross-border trade and cross-border procurement, I'll give you an example. If I'm sitting here in South Africa and I'm looking for a fertilizer producer from Angola,
mm,
I'm gonna
mm,
Google fertilizer producer Angola, and the first
mm,
five big companies are gonna pop up. I'm gonna probably contact one of those five big companies. Meanwhile, there might be 100 other smaller companies who just maybe didn't pop up on Google. And
mm,
now, I would have never contacted them and they would have never had got the opportunity to quote me, to give me their pricing, to give me their offer. So that is something we try and eliminate. We try and give visibility to those smaller suppliers so that, even if it's a big customer, you still have an
mm,
opportunity to put your bid in. You still have an opportunity to present yourself. Um,
mm,
and hopefully this is something that will improve the collaboration,
mm,
between different countries, because now you're not only thinking that we have two major paper producers here in South Africa. Now you actually realize
mm.
that we have 200. So just, yeah,
100%.
opening that up. I think we
Yeah,
can move
it's
on to the last. Oh, sorry, Victor, if you just want to close off on that
oh, no, no,
perspective.
yeah. I just want to give some insights on what you said, which is if we check very well, I believe you mentioned on what you mentioned is the lack of integration of systems, right? You mentioned like
Yes.
what procure chain is doing, which is like making those platform having access to, let's say, to suppliers in Angola instantly. So tracking
Yes.
inventory across the border could be also one of the beneficial
Mm,
solution for those platforms, and reducing procurement delays from weeks to day. So I think, yeah, what you mentioned, it helps on logistic collaboration platforms, digital platforms make things very efficient, and yeah, just to add on that one,
yeah.
it's not the lack of opportunity, but it's the lack of integration system.
Yes. So we actually just we're in the process of finalizing our version one platform. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 or 3 days, it will be ready. I'd really like to set up a call with you, and I can show you the version 1, and we can
Yeah.
play around with it, and we can see, just to get some further input from your side would be great, I think.
Definitely, definitely.
So yeah, I think we'll move on to the final topic before we close off. I think this one is a very important one to close off with. This topic is, how do businesses build to become resilient? Resilient to withstand different changing market conditions, volatile industries, changing, as we just mentioned, changing policies, and changing, laws and so forth. How do businesses build themselves to be resilient to these things? And I think, again, to bring up what we mentioned earlier, digitization is a good first step. To start
Yes.
digitizing the various processes within your organization is a good first step, because not only are you protecting yourself in a sense where, if this employee that you have decides to leave tomorrow, you still have a system that can run for your company. You're not only protected in that way, but you're also protected in a way where you are able to now scale and handle more operations more efficiently with less resources, essentially. So I think digitization is a major aspect to becoming resilient. Again, another point we brought up earlier: familiarizing yourself with what is happening in the world and how it impacts
Yes.
your industry. So you need to understand how things trickle down. If it doesn't impact you directly, understand how it impacts you indirectly, and sort of build your company to be resilient against that. And by doing, different ways you can do that is diversifying your supply database, diversifying your supply chain, having different suppliers for things. Don't just rely on one supplier for everything.
Non-supplier.
Negotiate with your suppliers, negotiate your contracts, input
Definitely.
clauses into your contracts that protects your company. And just being proactive in general, and like we mentioned, try to be predictive and not proactive, predictive and not reactive. Be proactive but not
Yes.
reactive.
It's true. And resilience, let me just touch on that in terms of business being resilience. In today's world, uncertainty is the only certainty, if I can say, especially from supplier disruption to currency volatility, to energy crisis. And the question is no longer, will disruption happening? And the question it's real, like, is your business built to survive it? Like, yeah, the aspects that you mentioned, it plays a massive difference, like being efficient in terms of digitalizations, being efficient in terms of cutting cost, minimizing inventory, so those are the key that will make also your business being resilient to the today's world in terms of the problems that we're facing. Yeah, I think it's a very, very good point. And not only business are failing because of lack of being resilient to the challenge of today, but it's also the lack of platforms like us, like the conversations like we're having. It's important for business as well, so that business can understand on how they can stand resilience to those problems of today. So from supply chain to finish good being delivered to the client. So I believe, yeah, resilience plays a crucial role for business to remain alive and to
Yeah.
operate and deliver the service to their clients. Yeah, I think it's a very great point. Let me just I will just check for something quickly.
Okay.
And one of the tools that we can say in this space, it's like trying to compare manual to digital. One business manage procurement on spreadsheet and the other WhatsApp, let's say. Other use a digital platform. When disrupt hits, like let's say disruption just hits, one panics and other adapt instantly. You see, so it's major different. Like speed is the
Yes,
new
exactly.
competitive advantage in this time. So you need to be digital, you need to integrate the new
Yeah.
systems that makes your business to have like the cash flow is like surviving, you know. Yeah,
Yes.
so I think it plays a crucial role. It puts business in one step ahead. It's a very advantage and collaboration as well with logistics and companies struggling alone. You see, when companies just struggling alone make things very, very difficult. So partnering with cross region, it's a key, you know. Like if a company A it's partnering with company B in Angola, in Namibia, it plays a very advantage in terms of how you stay digitalizations, how you stay digital in this era, how you move goods, how you operate, how you do business, B2B or B2C, either way. But as long as we can stay digital, as long as we can address the right pain point, as long as we can integrate the right policies, I believe things should move smooth and we should adapt the new eras that are coming, especially with the AI that is happening now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, Victor. I think that's a good point to close out on for today. I think I've got a lot of insights from our discussion.
Mm,
I hope everyone who tuned in got some good insights as well.
yeah.
I want to thank you for your time as well, Victor. I appreciate it. And definitely,
It's a
we
pleasure.
need to have more of these conversations, like you said.
Yes, yes, we do.
We will definitely be scheduling more from our side. I think we will,
It's
we'll bring some more people in from the community, get some more insights. It's always good to, I like to hear from different industries as well, people working in different sectors. So definitely we'll be continuing these conversations.
yeah.
And yeah, if it, brings anyone any value, that's the point and that's the purpose. So yeah, thank you for
100%,
today, man.
100%. Yeah, if business plugs to ecosystem, moves fast, adapt fast, scales fast. Yeah.
Yes, 100%, man. Cool. Thanks for your time, Victor, and thank you everyone for joining.
Pleasure, Carl. Thank you very much for
Cheers.
having me.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye bye.